Welcome back to Everyday Race. In this part 2 video, I'm going to continue to fix the Prius with the triangle of death. In the previous video, I've installed used half of the inverter on the Prius, just like what the dealership thought, that there was an internal issue, and guess what? That did not fix the problem. So today I've got a new plan. I'm going to pretend that I don't know anything about the car and do my own diagnostic from scratch. For that, obviously I need to pull the codes. So I've looked at all the options, and the cheapest option was Dr. Prius app. It's a free app that lets you look at the battery voltages and pull the codes. So that's what I ended up doing, and I was able to pull the code. There was one code, p0aa6. Alright, so next I need to look it up, so I use Google, and here we go. High voltage system isolation fault. Apparently there's a voltage or current leaking to the chassis of the car, which is not good. Symptoms: slit warning light on the dashboard, check. Trouble charging the hybrid battery, nope. Vehicle startup problems, yep. The car might enter a triangle of death, yep. And where the car won't start or drive, sure, my problems right there. Alright, next we gotta look at the causes. So first, leaky battery. Hybrid battery can cause it. Alright, or inverter, which I replaced, but it's on untested unit, so it might still be the problem. And then issues with cables, battery control module, or other HV components. Great. Alright, after Googling up some more, I was able to find out that there are actually subcodes that Dr. Prius unfortunately can't pull up. So whoever you are, Dr. Prius, please update your app, make it happen. If the app would be able to show me the subcodes, it would make my life a whole lot easier, because the p0aa6 is just a general code that just tells me that there is a problem with the hybrid system, voltage leak somewhere, but it doesn't really tell me where. So let's look at these subcodes. Alright, so I was able to find this diagram with the subcodes, so let's take a look at them. So subcode 612 would let us know that it's the battery, hybrid battery, or a hybrid battery ECU in the green. And then subcode 614 would let me know that the problem is in the wires between the inverter and the hybrid battery, or the inverter itself. Subcode 613 would let me know that the problem is in the MG1 or MG2, that's part of the transmission motors. And subcode 611 would let me know that the electric AC compressor is at fault. So yeah, that'd be great to know that. Unfortunately, I don't have the capability to know that right now. Alright, so next step is test the battery. So I gotta remove all the stuff. I already removed all that stuff. Gotta take the seats off, and then we get to see if there's any problem with the battery. So let's get to work. Alright, so I took the panel off because obviously I want to test the battery. I think that's where the problem's at. It's not in the up front. It's not, well, I haven't tested the transmission motors because I have multimeter and it's good at testing the battery. So I took the paneling, everything off the car so I could get to the battery. I took the this battery cover off so I could see what's going on. So next I removed the plug to the computer of the battery and disconnected the safety fuse. So next thing you know, I start poking around and I see that this wasn't even tightened up, but I don't think that would cause the problem. So next I'm going to test. There's a leak between the body ground and the battery itself. So for that I'm going to use a multimeter, put one lead somewhere in the ground. Then I have to connect the fuse, so the battery is going to be live, so there's a very good chance of getting shot. And now we're live. So what I'm going to be looking at is I'm going to be poking. Shut up. So I'm going to be poking in this location and then this location, and looking at the multimeter, it should be reading 0. So let's poke at this, and we have 2.74 volts. That's not good. Next, let's poke at this one, and we've got 1.9 volts. So what that tells us is that there's a leak in a battery pack to the case, which it shouldn't. Alright, so I thought that untightened one was the problem. This one was stripped, so I had to remove this piece that is held to what seemed to look like a solenoid. I had to remove that piece, and this looks like a ballast resistor over there on the bracket to give me room to put a wrench on the back of this. I thought it was stud and this solenoid was going to be ruined, but I'm just going to go get another bolt just like it with a new nut, clean this piece off. Alright, I got it. Alright, so the battery's out. It was not terribly a bad job. It was just unbolting things, unplugging things. So this is the battery. Now I gotta take the cover off and remove all the wires and test every cell or every module, whatever you want to call it. Find out whichever one grounds to the body. So then I'm gonna find 1, 2 bad, 3, 4, whatever bad. I'm gonna replace them, and the rest are going to get reconditioned using this charger. Then I'm going to balance all the cells, and then I'm gonna put them back in the Prius, and then we'll see that triangle of death is going to go away. So it took me twice as long, but that's because I had to deal with the stripped bolt. Thank goodness that these studs are replaceable, so it didn't do a whole lot of damage. It just spun right in there, so not too bad. Just got to go get another bolt. And alright, time to continue fixing the Prius. Alright, so we have some, looks to be like leakage right in here. I know the previous owner replaced 3 cells. Looks like he's done some work, but he could have missed one of them. So this is the one that he probably replaced. That one looks out of place. But yeah, I gotta take them all out and clean all that stuff and find out the bad one. So let's continue. I had to get a more expensive tool to test the insulation. My cheap multimeter isn't capable of doing it, so I had to sell my raccoon. No, I'm kidding. I didn't sell my raccoon. The raccoon's priceless. I had to sell my dog. No, I'm kidding. I didn't sell my dog. Kidding. Just kidding. I had to pick up some hours, but finally ordered this a few days ago, and it showed up. And today we get to see if any of those cells is the problem, and if the battery is not the problem with this tool, I'll be able to test the electric motors inside the transmission. It's also capable of testing the wire harness going from the battery pack all the way to the electric box inverter. It can also test the electric AC compressor. So this tool is worth the money. So enough talking. Let's put it on 250 volts. Now I'll put the negative lead to the base of the battery. Now if we ground it, we have to put test. We ground it, should read near 0. Now what we're looking for is we're looking for this number, 4,000. So let's test this cell, 4,000. Test this cell, 4,000. Let's test this cell, 105. Okay, 4,000, 4,000. So I've already went through all of them on this side, and this is the only one that is doing something goofy. Now my multimeter, my cheap multimeter, every time I would touch it here, it would show me resistance, and it was very, very strange, but it wasn't good enough data. So I'm going to order another cell, and hopefully we'll have it here within the next 3-4 days, and I'm going to replace it, put the battery back in the car, and we'll see if the problem is going to be solved. This was a brain scratcher for me. It's a new thing. So, died. While I was waiting on the replacement module, I've decided to put all the modules on the charger, discharger, to see what the condition was. The charger would tell me module capacities. So they were all on about 70% life. So they're not great, but they're usable. So that was good for me. Next, I went to the local parts store and picked up replacement bolts for the stripped and the loosened bolt that was in the battery pack. And then I installed my newly used module in my battery pack. I cycled it a few times. It had good capacity. And next I installed the whole thing back in the car. And now is going to be the moment of truth. So I'm just going to use a regular voltage. I'm not going to use the fancy installation test right here. Just basic DC voltage. And then we're going to touch this one and that one. And last time we had like 1.2 volts and negative 1.2 volts with the plug disconnected. So we're looking for a 0. So this one was not, is at 0, and the negative is at 0. So guess what? I have a good feeling about this one. So I'm going to hook it all up, button it, and we'll see if the car starts and if the check engine light comes back on, which it might. Let's rock and roll. The battery's hooked up, and it does not have any voltage leaks. The moment of the truth. Okay, it's in ready mode. Let's see what happens. Gotta wait a minute. There it goes. It starts right up. Let's see what happens. Ooh. Problem. I guess there's more problem than just the battery. Man, I had a good feeling about this one, but bye-bye now. Alright, so there was no time to give up. So next I wanted to test the cables that go from the hybrid battery all the way to the front of the inverter. And here's what I had to do. Alright, so I hooked up the multimeter to the negative cable and everything was fine, and I hooked it up to the positive cable and it started showing resistance. And as I moved and twisted the cable, it showed me that the positive side of it was getting grounded. So that was a big problem. Alright, so here's a better view of the cable. So the cable consists of this orange silicone sleeve that protects the cable. Then we got this metal mesh, which is there to reduce electrical noise. This mesh is grounded to the chassis by the inverter and by the battery. So that's grounded right here, this metal mesh. Then we have black silicone sleeve that protects the metal cable, which transfers 200 plus volts from the hybrid battery to the inverter. So what happened is this black sleeve somehow got damaged, and the metal sleeve, which is grounded to the chassis, was touching the power cable. And I don't have to tell you what happens when you touch power and ground together. Well, some of that power was going straight to the ground. That's a big problem right there. Alright, so now I found the problem. Now I need a solution to fix the problem. First way of doing it, obviously, is to replace the whole cable. That's a very expensive repair, probably over $1,000. I've decided to go the cheaper route and save me some money. What I did is I cut the orange sleeve and I started peeling the mesh that was touching the power cable, and I kept doing it until I saw the damaged area in the protective layer of the power cable. I then put some electrical tape on the damaged area and put some shrink tubing on that, and that should keep the metal mesh from touching the power cable. And since I saved a whole bunch of money, I've decided to fix another issue on the car that wasn't causing any problems, but it was going to be a problem in the future. Let me show you what it is. At the last second to remove this harness and remove the ECU. Now this wasn't causing any problems, but it was going to cause problems eventually. This is the connector. You can see 2 pins are kind of cooked or on the way there. And then let's look at the ECU. It's starting to get there. If you leave it alone, the ECU will end up getting damaged, maybe catch on fire. And the new connector is nice and clean. Everything's brand stinking new. So all I'm going to do is use electrical cleaner and get the ECU cleaned up as good as possible, and reinstall the harness, button up the battery, and install shrink tube on this part of the cable. That metal outer shield is going to be grounded to the chassis. Unfortunately, I had to remove that to find the problem. So let's get to work. Got about a couple more hours of daytime. I got the new harness installed. Put the cover on, put the ECU back on, clean the ECU connector, and then put a shrink wrap right here. And it's going to ground to the strap. Just like that. It's going to press it in, and the cable is going to be the outer shield is going to be grounded to the chassis from here and by the inverter. So this really isn't 100% necessary, but I decided to make sure it works. Got a new connector. Ooh, everything looking pretty. Just gotta tighten everything up, put the battery together, and then put all the interior back in right there, and get the oil change done. And that should be it. I'm gonna take it for a spin. Alright, so that actually ended up fixing the problem, and the triangle of death was fixed. No more codes. The Prius is fixed and ready to go for many more miles. So let's get to conclusion. Alright, in conclusion, I want to talk about the mistakes that were made during this diagnostic repair of this Prius. I've learned quite a bit, and it was fun and pain in the butt at the same time. So if I was going to do it again, first thing I would have done is I would have pulled the codes. Then I would have used the internet to find out exactly what the code meant. And then, two, I would have bought that isolation tool right away. I tried using my good old multimeter, and it just wasn't capable of giving me 100% results on which cells were bad. And I wasted a lot of time playing with the multimeter. As soon as I got the isolation tool, I was able to track down 100% which module was bad. And then, using the same tool, I was able to find out that the cable was damaged. So it saved me a lot of time. So next, I want to talk about the dealership diagnostic. Did they really make a mistake? Well, let's take a look at it. All right, so the dealership said that there is they found a fault in the inverter converter. So if I had to guess, they pulled the code p0aa6 with the subcode of 614. What does 614 means? It's either a problem with the inverter converter or the frame wire. And now we know that there was a problem with the frame wire. And the only way to figure out which one of those was the problem, inverter or the wire, was to manually disconnect the cable and isolate the inverter from the wire harness. So, did the dealership make a mistake? Or they just didn't have enough time to properly diagnose the issue? I'd love to hear your opinion. Please post it in the comment section. I'd love to read it. And that's going to be it for today. It was a long video, and thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.